What do we know then about the latest round of US attacks on Iran and how Tehran is responding to this?
Good morning, Tom. Well, we're seeing similar patterns repeating themselves, right? So Iran starts by attacking ships in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. retaliates by hitting targets in Iran. And this is certainly what was playing out over the weekend and into the early hours of this morning. So it started again with Iran hitting a Cyprus-flagged ship in the Strait of Hormuz over the weekend. The U.S. Attacking parts in Iran that includes blasts that were heard in the southern coast, including energy hubs in the Bushehr province and also the port cities of Bandar Abbas in Iran. Iran retaliating to the U.S. attacks in turn by hitting countries in the region. So that's Jordan, Kuwait, and Qatar. So we're hearing some infrastructure damage in Qatar's oil company, particularly the drilling department there. And Qatar yesterday saying that 3 people were injured as a result of the Iranian attacks, one of them a child, actually. So again, these patterns that we are seeing repeating themselves, although we didn't think we'd be here at this stage, especially after that MOU was signed about 4 weeks ago in June in Switzerland. It does look like the talks for the time being are suspended. Now, they were suspended, Tom, because of the mass funeral of the late Supreme Leader that ended last week, but we just don't have a lot of clarity yet on whether these talks are set to recommence and whether the mediators will get involved again. And just to note here that the mediators, including Qatar, that's one of the countries that were attacked. And so we're seeing again these repetition of patterns of tit-for-tat attacks between the warring sides. A lot of unclarity still, and at the heart of this, of course, is the Strait of Hormuz and the shipping movements there.
Yeah, absolutely. Abeer, what is the current situation in the Strait of Hormuz then? Because we get conflicting reports from the two sides.
You're right. And look, I mean, two sides cannot be right, because what Iran is saying is that the Strait of Hormuz is shut until further notice. The U.S., President Trump, Central Command are saying, actually, no, the ships are free to move in the Strait of Hormuz. The GMIC is saying that the southern part of the strait is free for movement. But up until this morning, we're seeing traffic yet again at a standstill. Yesterday, our team's reporting that some ships are successful at passing through. We reported that 6 ships have been able to pass through with their transponders off. But we're still seeing ships and tankers and these ship owners going through the Strait of Hormuz, treading with a little bit more caution. But up until this morning, we're seeing traffic at a standstill. And so that's yet another thing to monitor. And just to bear in mind that the Strait of Hormuz is one of the major concessions in that MOU that was signed, the 14-clause MOU. It does look like every other clause has taken a backseat for the time being. Iran really wanting to assert its dominance over the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. not biting and hitting Iran at any chance when Iran strikes those ships in the Strait of Hormuz, Anna.